This episode of the Jaguar Football Podcast is brought to you by Lorenzo's Tacos and Burritos, located at 1841 Old State Route 21, addicted to tacos. Hi everyone, I'm Carl Bierock. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Jaguar Podcast. Along with me, of course, is Dr. Nick Baer, head coach of the Seckman Jaguars. Coach Baer, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to do this again. So
a lot going on. You know, we're in the thick of things. The off season almost at its peak. I saw that recent correspondence that you were sending out, asking parents, reminding them to register not only for the booster club but also for the physicals getting uploaded.
yeah, I mean, I talked to the boys. We're at that official halfway point before camp starts. We're 4 or 5 weeks in. We've got about 4 weeks to go before we're heading out to the field with helmet and shoulder pads as a team. And there's a lot of paperwork that has to happen between now and then. So if we can get everybody signed up through Privet, that's our new online physical platform. Email me with any questions about that. And then obviously. We've talked about, the importance of our booster club and how they allow us to provide a high quality high school football experience to our players. And, we can't do that without some monetary support. So, the quicker we do that, the better. That way it gives me a good idea of what we can plan on equipment wise, food wise, and different things we'll get to do throughout the season.
So for the parents watching at home, what is currently going on right now as you gear up toward camp? Is it still just the weightlifting, or is there more on-field work happening?
Obviously, a lot of it's in the weight room right now, every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And, we just wrapped up our 7-on-7 competition season. We'll have a few more field works where we get the opportunity to move around on the field before camp. So it's kind of business as usual right now.
Gotcha. And so, speaking of, business as usual on the field, a couple weeks ago, we had the ability to host a football camp. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the attendance and just your overall thoughts on, how the days went.
Yeah, I thought we got really lucky with the youth camp. The weather actually kind of broke those 2 nights. So instead of being about 95 to 100, it was, about 80, 85. And, we had over 200 and I think we had around like 215 registered campers for the camp this year, which is 50 more than we had last year, which was our biggest one attended. So, another sign that football continues to grow in our community and young kids want to take a part in it. And, I watching and being a part of it those 2 nights, it looked like the kids had a lot of fun. So I know myself and my coaches, we really enjoy working with future Seckman football players. And just from talking with the players too, my high school guys that came and helped, it was a great experience for them too. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if you can expand upon that, because in one of the emails you wrote about how the experience you felt for your players, your current players, giving back to the community, coaching the next generation of Jags, that's got to be exciting and fulfilling.
Yeah, something we've really harped on the last couple years, especially since 2021 or so, is make Seckman football better than you found it. And that doesn't just mean in the win column. It means as far as help us spread it in the community. Put out the good word. And the youth camp is a great way for some of the older guys who maybe haven't had an opportunity to do that. Do. And I will say we cannot run the youth camp without the high school players helping us. They do a great job.
No, it's great to see them giving back to the community and investing into the future for sure. And along with the youth camp, it's been very busy the last few weeks. The 7-on-7, pretty exciting times and a good opportunity for parents to come out and get a preview of what the season may look like.
Yeah, the 7-on-7 is it's a really good opportunity to get our guys out and kind of compete against different teams. We use the Windsor 7-on-7 League to compete with other local schools, Jefferson County schools. And then this past Saturday, we just went to the Fort Zumwalt East tournament, and there's 24 teams there, some of the best teams in the St. Louis area. And just a great opportunity for our guys to get that work in and feel some of that competition and see what other teams are doing. And, for us as coaches, we get the opportunity to kind of evaluate players, who's improved in different aspects and things like that. So, it's really important when you do these 7-on-7s. I mean, to really keep it in perspective. This was actually the first year that we won a game at the Fort Zumwalt East tournament. Last year I think we went 0-4 last year, and then obviously rolled off 10 varsity wins in a row. But I definitely think these 7-on-7s, these going out and competing in the summer like this, as long as you have the right expectations, can be a really good thing.
Sure. On the last podcast, you were talking about the offense, and maybe it's geared, or I would say it's fair to say it's geared more toward running. What does this show you and the other coaches when you're going out and competing in essentially like a high, fast-paced, just air it out? What are the things that you and the coaches are really looking for from the players that are out on the field during these 7-on-7 activities?
Yeah, well, I mean, number one, we're looking, can you remember our past concepts? Do you know the plays? And we pretty much installed 5 or 6 concepts through various different formations and things this summer, which it's hard to remember. So you really have to sit down and focus. So, who number one, understands the concepts and know the concepts. And then, who maybe has a little bit deeper understanding of the routes and how to create space and how to get open. That's kind of where we start this. And, when you're out there at 7-on-7, who can move in space, who can make a play, there's a little bit of pressure out there when you're competing. So who can make a little bit of a play under pressure? And then obviously we want to see if we can sling it a little bit. So all good things. Like I said, as long as you're going there to these competitions and you have the right, state of mind and the right mindset, they're a good thing. I actually had a player come up to me afterwards, or somebody asked me, Coach, hey, I noticed, you and the other coaches, you guys really aren't doing too much hooting and hollering and yelling and celebrating and things like that. And, the other coaches are. You guys all right? Or is there something wrong with you? And, my answer to them was, my coaches and I, we know what to value. We know what's important. And it's not June. I there's enough things to stress about. I'm not going to stress about the results that, we're getting on the field in June. We're evaluating. We're kind of seeing how our guys act. But don't you worry. I told them when camp starts in July 22nd and the mustache is on, it's time to go.
I think the team, they put in a lot of work in the off season. I think they're ready for more of that full contact and getting the putting the helmet on and attaching the chin strap there. Any final thoughts on like the 7-on-7? Because again, it seems like you had I watched a couple of them at Windsor, and the group of Seckman players versus everybody else. I mean, looked like you were running like 3-4 different lines there.
Yeah, we're bringing a small army to these things compared to what other schools are able to, and that's a blessing for us. That's a testament to the work that our kids are putting in, and the fact that our kids want to come out and be a part of what we're doing. So yeah, we're able to get a lot of reps for a lot of different people. I think we rotated in 3 different groups with the defense, and we had 3 different groups with the offense. Ran pretty seamlessly. We got a lot of reps. And, gave some guys some opportunities to kind of see where they stand and what they need to work on.
No, that's great. And, just wanted to emphasize, like, it was such a great time watching that and watching it air it out. It seemed like it was almost like flag football-ish, where, some of the kids, got their start in getting into football here. So it was really nice. And the weather up until the Fort Zumwalt 7-on-7 was cooperating pretty nicely. And wanted to transition over into having you talk about some plays and what players do, because on the last podcast you broke down your 5 favorite plays from last season and received a lot of positive feedback. They really enjoyed you going into the tape and really breaking things down. And I figure on this podcast, you could maybe take a position and break down, like, what does their son do or what does their grandson do? So it's more than just, being out on the field. maybe there's some nuance in how they, cover people or their
Right.
responsibilities, can add to the overall game experience for folks watching in the stands.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's a great. This week I really want to focus on the defensive backs. So these would be the guys you would consider who are covering the passes, right? If a guy pops wide open, whose man was that? Who blew their responsibility, things like that. And I guess hopefully what I can get, hopefully what people can understand is that's a complicated question. Whose guy was that? Who was open? Things like that. Who blew the coverage? We ask a lot of our players first. When it comes to alignment, there's bunch of different formations these guys have to be able to line up in, depending on what the offense gives us, and then we have a number of different coverages depending on the game plan that week. So as you're looking at the screen here, we really want to highlight what we call these defensive backs. These guys on the outside. This is a cornerback, and this is a cornerback. All right. And then these two guys inside, we call these guys as safeties. All right. They're kind of in charge of that middle of the field right there. So, a lot of times they'll get a play call, just like the offense. The defense gets a play call from the sideline. A lot of times you'll see it with a hand signal, and then they'll echo it to each other out there in the huddle. And that'll really kind of tell them, hey, this is the coverage we want to run for this play. And it can change per play. One of the very basic coverages you have is man coverage, and that's pretty simple. Each guy is latched on to a man, all right, and he runs with him wherever he goes. And then these two safeties, all right, are sitting over the top in a two-deep zone. All right, so that's our man coverage, something we'll run every once in a while. That's a pretty basic one. It's easy, in the same breath that, hey, I know which guy I'm supposed to follow. But in the same breath, it's also one of the harder ones to do, simply because that guy across from you might be faster than you. He might be taller than you. He might be able to go up and get that ball a little bit better than you, which is a lot of times why, especially with what we do, we'll run what's called a zone coverage. So rather than maybe having a specific man before the snap of the football, we actually have a zone or an area that you want to cover. One of the very basic coverages is what we call a cover 3. All right, so you really split the field into 3 different zones. All right, so this corner on the left side, he'll actually drop back into his third. This corner on the right, he'll drop back to his third of the field, and then our free safety will drop towards the middle. And then this safety has the flats on this side. This safety has the flats on this side. This is probably one of the more basic coverages that a lot of teams do. Obviously, it can be tough here, especially on the safety, covering a lot of the middle of the field. That's why you don't see it as much, in a lot of games, especially with how wide and spread out teams are. So that's a cover 3 defense. Some teams sometimes will run a cover 2. Okay, so instead of our corners dropping deep, now they're dropping right here into the flat. So they're dropping really short, trying to pick off anything short and outside. And our safeties, all right, cover 2. They're dropping back, and now we're splitting that field in half. All right, and he has this side of the field. All right, and the other safety has the other side of the field. That's a cover 2 defense. Another one of the more basic coverages that we'll run is called cover 4. So, if you're kind of picking it up, cover 3, you're splitting it into 3. Cover 2, you're splitting the field into 2. Cover 4, all right, we're bailing, all right, and we're splitting the field into 4 different zones that each one of these guys has to cover. All right, and that's kind of, there's a lot more to it than that, definitely. And we run a number of more coverages than that, but those are some of the real basic coverages that as you're watching, where's my player dropping to? What's he actually responsible for? Where's he lining up? Is he in man coverage? Did he line up tight to him and run with them the whole way? Did he just get beat like a yard dog one-on-one? Or, hey, did he drop to his zone? Nothing really showed up or things like that. So with defensive backs, that's kind of some of the basics of their pass coverage. And, a lot of times DBs, corners especially, kind of get a bad rap for not being able to step up in the run game. And that's what our guys have to be able to do. Our cornerbacks and our safeties are responsible for the run. We'll talk about it right here. First off, I didn't get a chance to highlight this. This is actually some drone footage from our game against Webster at Kirkwood High School this year. Webster Groves did get a brand new facility built this year. It looks amazing. We'll be out there not next year, but the following year after that. But we actually got their drone footage, Webster's drone footage from this game, and they traded it with us. And it's an absolute game changer when it comes to breaking down film. Through a generous donation through our booster club, we've been able to purchase a drone for our football program. And it's definitely going to be a game changer in one, how we break down film after the game, but also during the game and what we're able to show the boys. So when it comes to, the run game, when you look at these corners out here, the widest guy, the corner, his job is to protect that sideline. Nothing can get the sideline on him here. All right. If he dips inside, all right, if you're watching your player and he dips inside like this and that ball hits the sideline for about 60 yards, that's on him. All his job is he's going to backpedal. He's going to make his read. Happens to actually be a bubble play, but if it was a run, it's pretty much the same thing. He has to keep outside leverage, keep everything inside. Because notice what we have inside. We have an outside linebacker. We have a safety getting ready to fill that alley. We have another linebacker ready to fill that alley. And you're going to watch as this corner comes upfield, pushes everything inside, and you're going to watch everybody else do their job and scoop this play up. This is a really good defensive play. All right, you see the safety coming in, filling in through the alley. All right, he would have been right there to make the play. Just so happened linebacker Dean Meckel made a very great play on this one.
And Coach, hold that thought about the linebacker. Your linebackers cover. They do more than just tackling, correct?
Oh, yeah. So, I didn't talk much about them when we were talking about our pass defense here. But these guys, too, typically, when we're talking about, these guys dropping deep, all right, these guys right here, the linebackers, a lot of times they're working what's called hook to curl. So they're looking for anything crossing across the middle. They're opening up their hips. They're reading the quarterback's eyes and hopefully trying to pick one off. Actually, Dylan Lappy picked one off just like this in the Webster game for a touchdown, and he did the same exact thing against, I believe it was Oakville, but I don't know. But yeah, no, linebackers, they have a lot of responsibility. I mean, they're our primary run stoppers, but in the same breath have a lot of pass responsibility too.
No, this is great because, as parents watching from the stand, we don't quite have the height of a drone, but we could really see those plays develop. And, having you break down these plays and, responsibility, like I said before, I think it's just going to enhance what we're watching and the product on the field to give a better understanding of the game and the nuance that each and every one of those players have responsibility for.
Yeah, no, my biggest suggestion, and it's really the hardest thing to do, is don't watch the football because there's a lot happening away from the football that allows, especially in our offense, that allows the play to actually happen. So if you get caught watching the football, which is very easy to do, you're going to miss a lot of, the things that are actually happening out there.
No, we appreciate you breaking down some of the tape and look forward in future podcasts to you explaining, maybe linemen and, the running backs and wide receivers, breaking down the other positions. And we look forward to more of those breakdowns. And so, yeah. And, I'm also happy to introduce our sponsor for today's podcast, Lorenzo's Tacos and Burritos. And Coach, after this podcast, it's on me. I'll take you out there. We'll go grab a burrito.
Perfect.
But they're a great family. They're invested into Seckman football. They want to see this program succeed. So it's nice seeing the community invest into the program. So we're so happy to have Lorenzo's on board. And in fact, they were gracious enough to give a gift certificate to a deserving player. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Carson.
Yeah, we want to highlight Carson Schulte, one of our junior football players. Carson's going to be a junior this year. He's been through our program now for 2 years as a freshman and a sophomore. He probably had one of the more consistent off seasons of anybody on the program. Made great gains in his squat, bench, power clean, has gotten a lot stronger and has done a lot to prepare his body to compete for a starting spot on the offensive line on a Friday night. So for that, I'm very proud of him. But what I really want to highlight for him for is this year he actually won Student of the Year, I believe, for the junior class. And it's been a minute since we had a player on the football team win Student of the Year. You have to be nominated as a Student of the Month by a teacher. And then it pretty much comes down to about 8 different students. And then the teachers get to vote on those 8 students. And Carson was chosen by his teachers. So this is a fantastic honor and a fantastic way to kind of represent our football program. He's definitely the type of kid that you want to root for. So I'm proud of him and happy to highlight him this week.
That's wonderful. And so Carson will be receiving a $20 gift certificate to Lorenzo's Tacos and Burritos. So we are so happy for him, and we appreciate the hard work he's doing, not only on the football field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, it's tough to be Student of the Month. There's a lot of students in there. It's tough to be Teacher of the Month, too. I've only been Teacher of the Month 1 year in 13 years. So 1 month, actually, in 14 years. So maybe this will be my year.
This is it. We'll see what we can do, and we'll make sure you get a burrito as well. But no, it's so good to see our team succeeding on and off the field and being good citizens. And it's hard. School's hard, no doubt about that. Football is hard, and having him succeed in both of those is tremendous. So we're very proud of Carson and look forward to seeing what he does on the field here. And so that brings us to our social pages. Again, want to remind everybody to like and subscribe to not only our Facebook page, but also we launched a YouTube channel. We're growing that. And Coach, I wanted to share with you, you seem to be very popular in California and in Texas. So the little cut-ups of the last couple of podcasts, they were each receiving hundreds of views, and it seems like the audience in Texas and in California really are interested in football. We need to grow that here in our community. So wanted
Seckman
to
football
share that
takes on the globe.
It's going international. There's UK people from the UK checking out these videos. So it's fascinating, the reach of Seckman football. And so that leaves us with one of my favorite segments of the podcast. That's where we have our Junior Jags step up and ask you a question. So here's one from one of our 7th graders.
Hey, Coach. My name is Austin Summers, and I play for the 7th grade Junior Jags team. And my question is, what kind of traits are you looking for a good linebacker?
It's a good question. What are you looking for?
I mean, what are we looking for in a linebacker? I will say we've had over the last 5 years, we've had a really good line of high school football linebackers to really kind of set that example, set that standard. When you look at guys like, from even last year, Dean Meckel, and, a few years before that, Michael Stivers and Caleb Niebuhr, these are all guys that kind of set the standard for what it really means to be a Seckman football linebacker. And when we're looking for somebody to be a linebacker, first, obviously, we start with the physical traits. You're going to be in the box. You're going to be making the majority of those tackles. Mass matters, right? So when we're talking about a varsity football linebacker, you're talking about somebody you want to weigh about 190, to 210 pounds. It's not going to be a lot of fun. I always tell guys, trying to make tackles at 160 when a running back is 200 pounds. So, we look for those physical traits. Obviously, prototypical guys are going to be about 6 foot, but height, honestly, doesn't matter. Mike Stivers, he may have been 5'5" if we stretched him out. I'd have to go back and look. But he finished 3rd in career in tackles in Seckman football history with like 202. So, height's something we look for, but it's not necessarily something that's really going to, break it down. And then when it comes to being a linebacker, you better be a guy that loves to live in the weight room. Getting bigger, getting stronger, especially as you move from freshman to sophomore to junior year. That's going to be huge. Having that strength, having that explosiveness and that power. Because really, a linebacker, they're the perfect speed, especially the guys that play for us. The perfect mixture of speed and power, right? Speed and power for those linebackers. And then, it comes down to gameplay. You're looking for your linebacker to be the leader of the defense. It's much more than, see ball, get ball, right? And you know what, in 7th grade, 8th grade, it's fine if that's okay. You know, we want to get that aggressiveness and teach you to find the football, but to be a good varsity football linebacker, it's much more than, you know, see ball, get ball. You have to be able to make the reads. You got to understand what the offense is doing. You're responsible for making sure everybody's lined up correctly, especially the defensive line. Sometimes that's not the easiest thing to do. You know, then at the end of the day, when it's one-on-one, can you make that tackle? So I'm looking forward to watching him play some linebacker this year, though. That'd be good.
Yeah, I think the future looks very, very bright for him. And so with that, Coach, we're coming up on our time. Just wanted to give you the floor, allow us to take us out.
Yeah, no, you know, a lot of fun again today. As I kind of said at the beginning of the podcast, we're getting into it. You know, we are about 4 weeks away from putting on helmet and shoulder pads at camp at that official halfway point. And the boys really need to be doing things, taking care of their body. You know, if they're still haven't kind of really started on their goals yet for what they want for the season, you know, now's that time to really start locking in. And then, you know, as we get closer to the season, the busier we get and the more information that's going to be coming out. So please keep an eye on your emails and for any information that I send out. You know, I always really feel like the season's starting to get closer. You know, my hair back here is starting to get a little bit longer. So I told the boys I've got about one more shave left in me. So it's about time to go. So I'm excited. I know myself and the coaches are too.
I speaking for the community, I think we're all excited to see you get out there and do your things on the Friday. So, you know, Coach, I really appreciate your time today, and you know, certainly, you know, look forward to lots of success on the field later on this fall. So, you know, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
All right, take care.